Welcome to the Blood Moon Archives, home to real-life encounters of things that go bump in the night. These aren't just stories. These are true horrors that will haunt you long after the screen fades to black. So lock your doors, close the curtains, and keep those lights on. Let's get into it. The attic. I don't think anything prepares you for that moment when you realize you might not be alone in your own home. It was a Thursday night in early spring, a little after 10 p.m., and I'd just gotten home from a brutal double shift. I work at a warehouse outside the city, sorting inventory and driving a forklift. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills, and it keeps me busy. That night had dragged. Everything that could go wrong did. Misloaded pallets, missing paperwork. Someone knocked a shelf over. And of course it was pouring rain by the time I finally got to clock out. All I wanted was to go home, shower, eat something easy, and sleep for 12 straight hours. The house I rent is small, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, built sometime in the 60s. It's out near the edge of town. Quiet neighborhood, mostly older folks. I've lived there for about a year and a half. Nothing fancy, but it feels like mine, or it used to. That night, when I walked in, everything seemed normal at first. The porch light was on. My cat, Marley, came padding out from the hallway to greet me as usual. I dropped my bag, kicked off my boots, and headed straight for the bathroom. That's when I noticed the toothbrush. I keep mine in a little ceramic cup on the sink, next to the hand soap. It's a dark blue brush, soft bristles, always left standing upright. But that night, it was lying flat on the counter, and it was wet. Not like damp from cleaning wet, actually wet, like it had just been used. I stared at it for a second, confused. I live alone. No roommates. No girlfriend, no one with a key. I'm not the type to leave things out of place, and I hadn't used it since that morning. Still, I brushed it off. Told myself maybe I bumped it when I grabbed my razor, or maybe I'd used it earlier and didn't remember because I was tired. I washed my face, brushed my teeth again, using a different brush, and changed into a hoodie and sweatpants. Then I went into the kitchen, planning to microwave leftovers. I opened the fridge, and that's when the second thing hit me. The fridge was wrong. I don't keep much food on hand, mostly meal prep containers, drinks, condiments, and a few snacks. But now, it looked like half of it was gone. A couple of the meals I made on Sunday were missing. One of the orange Gatorades I'd been saving was open, half gone and sitting right in front. A yogurt I know I hadn't touched yet was peeled back and mostly eaten. At first, I actually thought I was losing it. Like, had I eaten more than I remembered? Did I come home earlier and forget? I even checked my car keys, thinking, stupidly, maybe someone borrowed my car and came in while I was at work. But no, my car was outside, and everything else was untouched. I stood there, fridge door still open, just staring. Marley rubbed against my leg. I looked down at him, like maybe he'd somehow confirm I wasn't imagining this. He just blinked at me and walked off. I closed the fridge and tried to act normal. I sat down on the couch, put on a show, ate some chips instead. I was trying not to spiral. Maybe I was overtired. Maybe this was just one of those off nights. And then I remembered something else. The upstairs window. There's one window in the guest room upstairs that I never open. It sticks, and the screen's torn, and I've always been paranoid it'll let bugs in. I hadn't been in that room for weeks. I only go up there to store random boxes or laundry I forget about. But something made me go check it. I can't explain it. a gut thing. I walked up the creaky stairs and pushed the door open. The air in the room was cold, like outdoor cold. And sure enough, the window was wide open. Not cracked, fully open, like someone had slid it up hard. The curtain was pushed aside, swaying slightly in the breeze. I stood there for what felt like a long time. My brain started doing this loop. Like, did I do this? Did someone break in? Why would they open the window? Why only take some food? I closed the window and locked it, shut the curtain, and stepped back out into the hall. That's when I heard a sound above me. Just a small one. A creak. Right above the hallway ceiling, near the attic hatch. Now, I'd always assumed the attic was empty. I'd never actually been up there. The hatch is in the hallway ceiling, with one of those pull-down ladders. I remember glancing up at it a few times over the months, usually when dusting or chasing Marley away from knocking things over. That night, standing there in the hall, staring up at that square in the ceiling, I got this feeling I can't explain. It wasn't fear, not exactly. More like realization. I went back downstairs, grabbed my phone, and called the non-emergency line for the local police. I told them I thought someone had broken in. They asked if I was in danger, if I could wait outside until someone got there. I said yes, and sat in my car with Marley in my lap while I waited. They came about 15 minutes later. 2 officers. One checked the house, while the other stayed with me. I tried to explain everything. The toothbrush, the fridge, the open window. They didn't say much, just nodded and took it seriously, which I appreciated. Eventually, the first officer came back out and said, "You're gonna want to hear this." I followed them inside, up the stairs, and into the hallway. The attic ladder was pulled down now. One of the officers was already up there, shining a flashlight around. He called down to us. "Someone's been living up here." I felt sick. When they let me climb up a few steps to look, I saw what he meant. There was a mattress, thin, dirty, but clearly used. Piles of old blankets, empty water bottles, food wrappers, a crate with cans, a spoon, and even some of my missing Tupperware. A flashlight, a worn hoodie, a notebook, socks, an empty pill bottle. It wasn't a break-in. Someone had been living in my attic. The officers asked me a bunch of questions. If I'd noticed anything missing before, if I'd seen people hanging around outside, if the locks had ever been changed. I didn't know what to say. I'd never noticed anything. No sounds, no weird smells, no signs. They said it looked like the person had been up there for a while. Months, maybe longer. There were signs that they'd been careful, staying quiet, coming down only when I was at work, not taking too much food at once. They didn't find anyone up there that night. Whoever it was had either left before I got home, or heard me come in and got out through that window. I haven't slept well since. They sent out someone to check for fingerprints, but I haven't heard back. I changed the locks. I had a security camera installed by the door, and one facing the hallway. I haven't seen anything strange since. But still, sometimes when I'm brushing my teeth or putting leftovers in the fridge, I feel like I'm being watched. I keep looking up at the attic hatch. It's closed now, sealed with a padlock. But every time I walk under it, I think about how long they might have been up there, eating my food, listening to me walk around, using my bathroom when I wasn't home, watching me live my life without ever knowing they were just a few feet above my head. It's the not knowing that gets to me the most. Who were they? How did they get in? And are they still watching? Well, you've heard the truth. But remember, not every story ends when the video does. Some stories follow you home, into the dark corners of your mind. If you've made it this far, you might just be brave enough to face what's next. If you want to hear more of these terrifying tales, and perhaps awaken something, you shouldn't. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You'll want to know when the next nightmare arrives. But be careful. Once you step into the darkness, it's not always easy to find your way out.